That's what's wrong with white people, by the way. It's right there in that picture. Because, see, no one talks about what happened to white people. That's another book. But this is specifically, I show this picture because it's unbelievable. Got the little Sunday best. They ran train excursions and let children out of school early to attend lynchings. Lynchings. Now, let's show the other slide because I want to read this one. It's a rather gruesome one. I want to get you prepared. But I want to read from this one so you can understand what they did at the lynchings. If you want to know the reference to this, you can. I have a reading list in my book. In addition to that, you can go on site on my online with my website, joylouis.com, and it'll give you some suggested readings. The name of the book that I would suggest are two. One is called 100 Years of Lynching. They're all newspaper accounts. That's by Ginsburg. 100 Years of Lynching. No pictures. This one is a famous picture that you will find in a variety of places, but one of them is called Without Sanctuary, recently published, which is a pictorial. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to read from the newspaper account. Before the torch was applied, the Negro was deprived of his ears, fingers, and genital parts of his body. He pleaded pitifully for his life while the mutilation was going on, but stood the ordeal of fire with surprising fortitude. Before the body was cool, it was cut to pieces, the bones were crushed into small bits, and even the tree upon which the wretch met his fate was torn up and disposed of as souvenirs. The Negro's heart was cut into several pieces, as was also his liver. Those unable to obtain the ghastly relics direct paid their more fortunate possessors extravagant sums for them. Small pieces of bone went for 25 cents, and a bit of the liver crisply cooked sold for 10 cents. As soon as the Negro was seen to be dead, there was a tremendous struggle among the crowd to secure the souvenirs. Knives were quickly produced, and soon the body was dismembered. Now I want you to look at who's in the picture. They're crowding to be in it, in suits. So whatever memory or thoughts we had about who these folks were, they were just plain common folk. But Joy, surely, this has no relevance today. Between 1882 and 1967, 200 bills, and Senator Avell Quarterly wouldn't know about this one, 200 bills were presented before Congress to outlaw lynching. Additionally, 7 presidents urged Congress to end the practice. Each and every time these efforts were rejected by the Congress, and lynchings continued unabated and unpunished. It was not until 2005 that the U.S. Senate offered an apology for what it termed domestic terrorism against mostly black people. And even then, folks wouldn't sign on it. So did the trauma continue? Boy, we're an amazing people. We're an amazing people. But we don't know who we are. And you cannot heal what you don't understand. We can't heal it if we won't look at it. So how does it manifest itself? Very quickly, let me go through some of my research, because I'm going to give you some examples of it. There's a chart, and I did work specifically on African-American male youth violence. I didn't want to look at violence, by the way. What I really wanted to look at was something I term in the book vacant esteem, one of the symptoms of post-traumatic slave syndrome. Vacant esteem should not be somehow confused with low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is when you can't do as many chin-ups as maybe your sister or your brother. I'm not talking about that. And I don't think esteem should be measured in terms of low and high, because there are people with perfectly high self-esteem that are assholes. And you have to go to meetings with them, don't you? But they have high self-esteem. They ain't right, though. So I think esteem should be measured in terms of accurate esteem. It's accurate esteem. Do you have an assessment of yourself that is appropriate? Not high or low, accurate, and healthy. So these are things I looked at. I don't want to look at this. I told you, I didn't want to look at violence. Why? Because my committee told me that vacant esteem wasn't a social problem. Clearly, that's not a social problem. A social problem, let me define it. Remember my graduate work. A social problem is a social problem. It can be defined as a social problem if a significant number of people believe that it is a social problem, or significant persons believe it is a social problem. And we didn't qualify for either of those, not black people. But let me tell you why I wanted to look at self-esteem. I wanted to look at self-esteem because my first work was with children. I saw things happening with black children that bothered me, disturbed me. Aside from the good hair, bad hair, and all the other ugly, negative, black epithets that we would throw at one another that I heard in contemporary world around me, I was concerned about what I saw happening to the hearts and minds of little black children. And one of the things that I started to notice happened directly after I had come from South Africa in 1994. I went to South Africa on the heels of the inauguration of Nelson Mandela. And it was a tough time in the country. And it was an incredible time for me because it was in a fact for me, in a way, a rebirth, a pilgrimage, a point of normalcy that I never knew, because I never knew how to feel normal as a black person in America. This is an article recently published called, it says, "My black skin makes my white coat vanish." This is a doctor who was standing in the lobby, and her clients would go, "Where's the doctor?" Right? We're invisible. And I grew up being invisible, discounted on a daily basis. So when I went to Africa, it was the first time in my life it felt normal being black. And so I cried a lot. I cried so much, in fact, the women that I was traveling with got a little through with me. Now, there's a reason why they got a little through with me. The reason they got a little through with me is because, see, in South Africa, in this southern region, actually I was in 4 countries, when you cry, you know, here they go, get that girl a tissue. Find a tissue, dry it up. In Africa, they sing. And they just start singing. 4-part harmony and breaking it off, right? And the whole room would just be singing until I stopped crying. And this was profound. The Queen of Lesotho had her royal choir come and sing to this group of 9 African-American women who were professionals traveling throughout the southern region. And this was really good and emotional, except there's a little catch. After they finished singing, they asked us to offer a few songs. And contrary to popular belief, we can't all sing. And so the women in my group were, you know, we did learn a few tunes, so we were even on radio after a while. But my sister, who was traveling with me, we were on our way to Lesotho, actually, and they got up and they met without me, the women. And so when I woke up, my sister said, "Joy, you know we're going to Lesotho today." I said, "Yeah, I know." She goes, "And Joy, we're not singing in Lesotho." So whatever you need to do, Joy, to get your little stuff together, we need you to do that because we're not singing in Lesotho. So I said, I'm good. I got it, holding it down. So we all go to Lesotho, and when they have this meeting, the meeting is actually larger than this room, and people are coming from all over. We got people coming from villages, people coming from the government. Everybody is coming to greet these 9 African-American women. So we're sitting on the stage, and of course things have to be translated. So the guy who's translating, he is actually a descendant of slaves that were enslaved by the Dutch in a place called Umfravakt in South Africa. And Umfravakt means the unexpected in Afrikaans. They were left to die after apartheid ended. But this man had gone back to learn the tribal languages. So each one of us would get up and he'd translate. So I got up, I was the first one, all the women were looking at me glaring like, you gotta keep it together. So I got up there, I was good. I said, "My name is Joy DeGruy, and I'm traveling with, you know, and we're trying to build a corridor of relationship with our African sisters." And I sat on down, I thought I did good. My sister, like, thumbs up, everything's good. Translator gets up, starts translating. Then he starts going on and on and on and on and on. And then people start chanting. It's just, you know, so my sister looked at me, I said, so I leaned over, I said, what you say? He goes, "I told him what you said." I said, "I didn't say all that." He said, "Oh, what had happened was," no, he said, "Well, when I got to the part where you said you were African American, some of the people from remote villages got confused because they thought all Americans were white. So then I had to explain to them that you were the descendants of the ones that had been stolen away. And they were saying to you, 'Welcome home.'" So, you know, everybody was singing. Because I was crying. I was choked. My sister looks at me. So everybody's on their feet singing. I'm tore up, sup, in the corner. So this black woman who was in the corner of the room walks all the way towards me, grabs me by the hand and said, "Did you think we would forget you?" I I am from Lesotho, and Lesotho is my home. If I leave Lesotho, Lesotho is still my home. If I leave Lesotho for 15 years, Lesotho is still my home. We mourned Malcolm and Martin with you. We are so, so very proud of you. You are African 300 years from home. We just wondered when you were coming back. And then I realized how much of me had been taken from me. So when I came home, I was a little depressed. To Portland, to the hood.
All right.
I was living on 9th, which is no longer the hood.